Hello. Crikey. I look etherical. What time is it? It's 10. Oh God, it's 22:02 of all the times. Can you believe it? Um, how mad. Everything for me at the moment is falling into sequences of 11. So I shouldn't be surprised. At the time, it's the 8th of the 7th, 2015. Obviously 2015, but you could be watching this in 2 years' time. I don't like filming at this time of night. It's really hard to get things so that they don't look like they do now, where the colour's a bit dodgy and I look really odd. I'll just try switching one light on. I've got one more light I could have on. It might make all the difference, mightn't it? And it's just really hard to set the camera. I don't think it's a camera, is it? It's a camera. Oh, that's better, isn't it? Well, it's a lot better than it was. It's just a really awkward time of day because it's getting dark and the light changing obviously has an effect on filming. I've been bitten, so I'm scratching a little bit, and I do apologise. I don't really get on very well with mosquitoes, but they love me. And when they bite, they don't do it so much in this country, but if I'm abroad and I get bitten, then they swell up like literally the size of, you can put your hand over the bites, they're that wide. And not so much as an adult, but as a kid, oh my God, I was so allergic to so many things. And then when I left home, I got really unallergic to most things, but I do itch still if I get bitten. It's just that I don't have the same swelling as I used to, but I still have more than the average person. And I'm sorry, I never switched the camera on to talk about mosquito bites. But what is interesting is that I was so allergic to stuff as a kid when I lived at home, and then within a couple of years of leaving home. Well, as soon as I left home properly, I lost everything, every allergy. I'm trying to think if I'm still allergic to anything. This summer I've had a little bit of hay fever, actually. As a kid, I was awful with hay fever, absolutely chronic. I was never allergic to horses at all, but I'd have times where I just would be so ill. My eyes would be streaming. It would be like having flu symptoms. And it was the hay. That's what, the pollen in the hay. I was so allergic. And we used to always make dens in the hay barn and hide. We'd hide in there. We'd tunnel in, and then put the bales back so you couldn't tell we were in there. And then we'd be like quiet as mice when the woman whose yard it was would come looking for us. And someone would always be allergic, and I'm mentioning no names, and it would be awful. I'd be like, you can't sneeze, Nina, you've got to be quiet, you've got to be quiet. She knew we were in there anyhow, but you don't want to be the one that gives the game away by sneezing and sniffling, do you? But anyway, then I left home and started working abroad, and immediately it almost went totally. But I just get it every now and then. Like every now and then I get struck, and I realised that it only really came. Actually, as an adult, if I really hated to do something, then that would be the day when I'd get struck chronically with it. And I realised the psychological connection. It doesn't make much sense because as a kid, I wanted to be around horses. That was like the only thing that I knew that I really wanted to do. Or I thought that. But yeah, I would be so ill around the hay. And then when I was au pairing, I'd always be really ill I think it was on a Friday or Saturday, every week like clockwork. I'm sure it was Friday, and I'd be so ill. I wonder what was really happening on Friday that I don't know about, because I was always ill on a Friday. It was horrific. But the thing is, I'm not really programmed to be off when I'm ill. I was very regimented to you go to work, you know, regardless to how you feel, you go to work and you suck it up, you go to work, you know. I don't really agree with this philosophy because, say for example, in the workplace, somebody's got flu or coming down with like a stomach infection or something like that, and they could be off and get better and not spread their germs around the whole yard or wherever it is you're working, if you're working in an office or what, you know, wherever your workplace is. For me, obviously, it's been mostly stable yards in my adult life. I don't agree with the philosophy of making people work when they're really ill, because then the whole yard gets it. Everyone ends up really ill, and everyone ends up still working because it's so frowned upon to take any time off that no one dares take time off. It's like actually the guilt that they make you feel is worse than going into work with flu. I have been at work in some states over the years. I had blood poisoning at one point in time, had to go to hospital in the end, and eventually I did have to ask to go home early. But I still gone into work every day, and by the time I actually did ask to leave early, it was the last horse of the morning, and probably had about an hour left at work. But the thing is, I was riding round, and the world was spinning. I couldn't see a thing. I was. Let me think about. It's a few years back. I'm trying to remember. When I thought I was hot, I was freezing. But I felt hot. When I thought I was cold, I'd be red hot. By the time I got home, I did go home early that morning. I knew I couldn't ride another horse. I knew if I did, then I was going to collapse. I just, you know, seriously, they have you so conditioned to be at work that the fact that I actually did in the end say, look, I'm really ill. I don't think I can ride another one. Is there any chance I can finish early? That I did say that in the end is a sign of how ill I really was. And I ended up in hospital, you know. I got home, I was with my ex still. Actually, at the time, I was living at Grandpa's because it was in 2007. And we were living at his house looking after him because he turned 100. And in the last, 9 months of his life, me and my ex were living there. I worked in the morning at the stables, and then I'd come home and take over looking after Grandpa for the rest of the day. Anyhow, I got home to Grandpa's, which, you know, obviously is like a home because it's always been his house in my life. And I'm parked up the drive, and my ex is like, I'm just sat in the car. I couldn't move. I was too ill to move. And my ex came out and he was like, Nina, what are you doing? I'm like, I can't move, John. I can't move. Long story short, I was freezing cold, and that's why I thought I couldn't move. I thought I was freezing cold. I was sat in the car with the heater on, and I thought I'll get warm, and when I'm warm, I'll go in the house. Except I had a fever, so I had no clue really what temperature I was. And then when I got in the house, you know, eventually he came back out and got me. And I mean, I must have been sat in the car 10 or 20 minutes or something like that. I have no idea how long. It didn't feel like that long, but I think it was. I think he'd been up 2 or 3 times. Anyway, yeah, this is how ill I was, right? I don't know why I'm talking about this. This is it's embarrassing as well. It makes me sound really weak-minded or like really easy to brainwash, and it's not like that at all. I was so ill that he had to literally peel my clothes off me, and they were all soaking wet because whilst I thought I was freezing, I was red hot and sweating, and it was just awful. He was like, we need to call you an ambulance. And I was like, I'm not going to hospital. I'll be fine. I just need to sleep for a couple of hours. So that's where I was. And I'm like, I can't be ill, we're looking after Grandpa. I've got to go can't be ill. There's no time to be ill. So anyway, long story short, I think the following day, I got talked into going to hospital, and they like kept me in. I was really ill. I was in for nearly the whole week. I had some kind of poisoning, some kind of blood poisoning. Anyway, the long and short of all of that was I started off saying that psychologically we can change things, you know. I don't get hay fever really very often anymore. I have done this summer, but it's the first time in years. And it makes sense psychologically. If I was going to be a little bit ill, it does make sense that could be this summer, because it's been a really tough year psychologically. But then the reason why I wanted to make a video was nothing to do with all of that. I just wanted to say this as an introduction to what I'm going to release next, which is, I made a video the other day where I'm talking about mind control and time and different dimensions. And what I failed to mention in this video is my programming was to work with horses. That's a huge part of my programming. And so what I realised after I'd made this little video, it's only a short one, only about 10 minutes or so. And I realised after I'd made it, I'm like, oh, you idiot, Nina, you know, all of the things I talk about in that is what I couldn't get my head around when I first realised about my involvement in mind control and stuff. Because I was thinking out of the box and not at the obvious stuff around me. I didn't really get that my job was actually, you know, part of like a cult, and actually that was what I was being used for massively. I don't think it wasn't just there, but that was a massive part of it. My job kept my programming in place, kept me like in line. 1,000,001 things which I don't have time for in this video because I just want this to be quick and short, you know, and it's already far too long. So yeah, you know, we are conditioned and used in day-to-day life, which we're conscious and aware of, as well as unconsciously. You know, we all have like things we're programmed to do, and obviously I thought, this is how genius they are with their mind control. I thought that my family didn't want me working with horses. I thought that I was rebelling by working with horses, and the truth is that couldn't be further from the truth. The only thing that I really know how to do is horses, and that is no mistake, you know. I'm an intelligent, I was going to say girl, but I'm a bit old for that, aren't I? I'm an intelligent woman, but yet, and when I was young, I had really simple psychology. It was very reverse psychology when I was younger, which when I got older, and now, the more healed I get, the more straightforward my psychology is, as opposed to reversed. But yeah, you know, I come from a family where my grandfather was who he was. Of course, if he'd wanted me to do something differently to what I ended up becoming and doing, then they would have known the psychology behind it. It wasn't rocket science. I could never understand as a child how my family didn't seem to understand my psychology and why they'd always pushed me the opposite way and use not just reverse. I could never understand why they didn't just flip reverse it on me. And if I could understand that as a child, and I mean as a child, as far back as I can remember, then clearly they knew what they were doing, didn't they? Okay, this is far too long. I want it to be a fast blast one. I just kicked the table by accident, sorry. So I'm going to tag this on to a little bit of footage which I filmed the other day, and it'll be a half-hour jobby then now altogether. Well, not quite, but knocking on for that, so I need to go. I know that have definitely rambled on more than I intended to, but the second part is more like interdimensional. I just want to mention though, you know, I talk about a lot of stuff, and it's quite dark stuff, most of it. But I don't ever want to overwhelm, and I certainly don't ever want people to forget that we are all free to heal in Christ. And that doesn't mean having to go to a church and be indoctrinated by false Christianity, by hypocrisy, or by lies. Now, whilst I'm not saying that all churches are false, I'm saying that, we all know how indoctrinated the Christian church has become, but that isn't Christ and that isn't God. That's human and demonic influence on something that's really good and something that's really beautiful and something that's here and free to heal us all. So we must remember there's a huge difference between being a real Christian of Christ and being a member of a church and somebody who calls himself a Christian whilst being nothing but, So it upsets me when people mix the two up, because at the end of the day, we should be able to be proud. Not proud in a pride sense, but glad to be able to call ourselves Christians and to know what the real truth is. Not feel ashamed or judged as though by saying I'm a Christian, people would think I'm some kind of brainwashed cult member of some satanic church, which is preaching one thing and doing another. When the reality is, anyone who really knows Christ is not going to be in that situation. And so he's there for us all. We are all able to reach out to Jesus. And it's about having a personal relationship, not about, if you've got a good church which is not indoctrinated, then that's great, But most of us don't have that. But Jesus is for us all, We don't have to be in a church. The earth can be our church. All right, I don't want to go any longer because it would be too long. Thanks for watching. Bye. Junction with mind control and a lot of the stuff which goes on. Now, when I first figured it all out and realised my own involvement and stuff like that, I was there's just no way that there's time for it all to happen. It's got to be interdimensional. It can't just all be that, or we're time jumping all the time and stuff. It's the only way that it would ever make sense to me at the time. And then I didn't want to really believe that, because I was oh God, that's so much, It's how can I ever make... Oh, it's not working. Yes, it is. Just... Sorry about the mess. This is my room. I still haven't sorted out, because I still haven't really moved in here yet. Not really ever slept in here. But yeah, the only way that all of this stuff's possible... I wonder if I can prop this up, and then I don't have to keep moving it. Is that possible, I wonder? I can just sit and leave the camera to do its thing. How long have we got? 10 minutes? No, 5 minutes, because it's... just let me pause it whilst I sort it out. Mind control, and how when I very first became aware of stuff, I could never get my head around the fact that I knew that I was going to work each day and working ridiculously hard and everything like that. Because I knew that really was happening. That wasn't my imagination. It wasn't just being programmed into me to think that I was going to work with the racehorses. I knew that that was fact. And I knew that that didn't leave very much time left, because it was very draining. It was a really hard job. And actually, over the years, I had done second jobs alongside that. And long and short is, I know from when I was in my 20s, and I did used to do second jobs alongside my primary job being the racehorses, and I was working full time there then as well, which meant from 7 in the morning until 6 at night was their time, not including when you went racing and stuff like that. So the long and short is that I knew that if I then was doing extra hours, what I'm trying to say is, right, that there's not enough hours in the day for this stuff to happen. So it's got to be happening in different dimensions, or interdimensionally, or with time travel. And so all of these blips in the matrix and where I've moved to being like it is, I feel like as though I'm on the cusp of like finding out, well, I've found out so much stuff, or I've said so much stuff, and it's ended up being so like more spot on than you could ever believe. But I'm careful how I say things, because I don't want to be spreading fear, and I never want to say things too clearly unless I'm 100% sure myself. And then there's some times where you have to be really careful, because you're going to end up dead if you're not really careful. Although, to be honest, I think that God's got ultimate say, so you're going to struggle to end up dead, aren't you? If unless God is like, yeah, actually it is her time, kind of thing. Maybe sometimes people need to die to have their message heard properly. I don't know. Well, yes, we know that is true. Anyhow, I'm rambling, and that wasn't any of the point of what I wanted to say. What I really wanted just to say was how multi-dimensional everything is, and how things like the storm, and I'm just getting constantly shown visual proof of the matrix grid, and how the glitches are so apparent now, whereas they didn't used to be in the same kind of way. And I certainly didn't used to pick this stuff up on camera all the time. And I have taken pictures for years of certain things, and I have got stuff which is like, a bit off, but not like, yes, this is the best camera I've ever had, but my other cameras were all decent too. I haven't just suddenly got a decent camera. I've been, doing photography stuff for years. I actually find it really hard to imagine how somebody who is a proper, anyone involved in film work or photography work, I don't know how they can't know what's going on, because the second that you move changing time of the running time, or the second you're taking realms of photographs, be it of people or be it just in general, you're picking up stuff all the time. Yet we don't see magazines with like orbs in or stuff like that. It's all photoshopped out. Or if there is like stuff where there's probably quite high activity, they put those lights in, don't they, to make it look like it's all meant to be there. And you're certainly not seeing people's faces with the matrix grid slipping on it. You're only seeing this stuff if you're like slowing stuff down and looking to see it. We've seen it with news reporters and stuff, that we have seen. But my point is that I can't imagine how anyone could, unless they're brainwashed to not see these things, which is very possible. Anyone working in any kind of film work, they just can't not know. So the stuff which I'm like getting proof of all the time, which goes alongside the videos when I'm talking about things, there's the proof there. It might not be at the same speed as I'm talking, it might be slower, but it's there, and I reckon my subconscious is seeing it all, then I'm speaking it. But if it sounds like too out there, then I'll be like quite careful how I'm saying it, or I'll just joke about stuff. But the reality is, it's there. Like, there's proof there. I've got stuff out there. It's all there. Like everything that I've ever said, I've got stuff. Right? It's crazy. And it all goes right back to my roots, really. The very first videos which I made, which actually wasn't a very good camera, Rocks of the Nephilim at Shipley Glen, that was the first video I ever made. And I'm going to re-edit that, actually, because someone commented on it the other day. and I now know how to like cut and splice stuff. So I'm going to edit that into a proper video, which isn't like one of these having to turn your head every 2 seconds, because I was watching it and saw how valid it really is, and how, yeah, you know, I haven't really decided yet exactly what or how to present certain things or how much to say on certain things. I've already said it all. It's nothing new. It's just that something's really like trying, like everywhere I look, these matrix glitches are everywhere at the moment, and that's not normal. It's not normally like that. I don't know if that's just personal growth and the way I'm seeing things differently, or if it's always like that. I don't know. Anyhow, I've said more than enough because I don't want this to be a long jobby. Ah! Oh, look at this. You see that? Do you think that was a warning? Shut up, Nina, or you're going to get like crippled, broken toes or something. You know, I know that does look like a random happening, but given what I was just talking about, I think that was some kind of warning. Crikey. I look much better. I should have just like sat here all the time, shouldn't I? Looking in the mirror as I spoke. So yeah, let's see how long that is. 8 minutes 25. I won't include any of the storm, I don't think. Oh look, that looks like a double moon. It's actually the light. Let's see if there's any stuff hiding in the bushes. Probably won't now, stuff that. And it'd be too hard to distinguish because of the rain, I suppose. Oh well, I'm not playing this game. It's silly people's game. Thanks for watching, and we'll see what gets released, if any. Oh, my head's pounding. Is it just a coincidence, or is it all linked? Anyway, thanks for watching, and can't close my door. Done it. Not a very nice neighbour, am I? I should have got her washing in for her, but I didn't realise until it was too late and too wet. So, the pictures I've got of these houses here, I mean, they just look ridiculous. They don't look anything like the perception. I think that I need to start releasing some of my pictures and stuff, and doing like backdrop talk. I don't know, we'll see. I feel like editing this bit out. Rewind. I'm going to go now. Bye. Bye. Thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good rest of this weekend. Bye.